Estamos, tenemos que echar a Gustavo, estamos ahí. It is a great honor to welcome you all to the roundtable Protecting Women and Children in Time of Crisis. We are privileged to have with us today a distinguished group of participants. Ms. Marise Guimont, country representative of UN Women in Turkey. Ms. Mati Gandhi, deputy representative of UNICEF. Ms. Süreyya Erkan, Director General of State of Women at the Ministry of Family and Social Services of Turkey. And of course, Mrs. Batsiri Toledo, member of the CEDAW committee, representative from Chile. For the start of the program, I would like to say some words on behalf of the embassy. Chile and Turkey, we have many differences, but a lot of similarities. We share geographical, economic, social aspects, and we are located in very seismic areas, so we also share the earthquakes and some other issues. Consider both Chile and Turkey middle-income countries. We are part of a group of emerging economies that are members of Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. Both countries also seek to play a regional role, Turkey between Europe and Asia, and Chile between the Pacific region and South America. And we participate very actively in agreement and international alliance and international organization. As I said, both countries have strong commitment to multilateralism and consistent engagement in UN at the UN. However, it's impossible to strengthen multilateral arena without considering the bilateral relations. That's why strengthening our relation with Turkey is a great importance for us, and we consider it a strategic partner and who we share common interests and goals. We are convinced that we learn a lot from each other and our national experience and programs. Indeed, Turkey has strongly supported the candidacy of Ms. Toledo as a member of CEDAW committee, as well as other Chilean candidacies in the human rights organizations, and we appreciate very much such requests. Family and community ties are very important in both countries, and both countries are experiencing a slowdown in population growth due to low birth rate, and combating violence against women and children has become a common goal. Chile has made a legislative progress and implemented targeted policies to protect women and children from violence, and made progress in the area of care, economic and co-responsibility, promoting creation of national care system. We call Chile Cuida, or Chile Care. That's very similar to a program that's been developed by the Turkish government. Chile has taken important steps domestically to advance women's rights since 1995. And last week, Chile launched its third National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security. And let me read some words from the Minister of Foreign Affairs when this plan was launched last Tuesday. This National Action Plan for the implementation of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 on Women, Peace and Security is one of the most important regarding gender issues, as it highlights the differential consequences suffered by women and girls as a result of violence in which they are subjected in armed conflicts and political and security crises, establishing the need of taking action to protect the fundamental rights. This plan reflects the commitment of the state of Chile. It reminds us that peace is not built by a single sector, but rather through the collaborative work of ministries, civil society, academia, and international organizations, especially UN Women, whose supports are deeply valued. He added, Chile reaffirmed with action its international vocation and its commitment to multilateralism, anchored in the defense of human rights, gender equality, and peace. As we are commemorating also our first centennial of diplomatic relations, we are working together in this area and many others, from political engagement, trade, agricultural, culture, tourism, sport, connectivity, and today, family matters because family matters. Also, we are commemorating this year the 80th anniversary of the Gabriela Mistral, our Nobel Prize, the first woman who received Nobel Prize in Latin America in literature. And this year commemorates 80 years since that event. And the exhibition is a tribute to her extraordinary work and
drafting that general recommendation. So somehow it's a connection between me and Farida and Turkey too. So and I want to say that this general recommendation is not just the committee, the CEDAW committee that is saying that violence against women is a form of discrimination and accordingly under this convention. It has been the practices of all state parties. The state parties in their practice have been endorsing this view and have been dealing with violence against women as a form of discrimination that has to be eradicated.
Because we have both the development and humanitarian mandate, for us the sustainability was really about being able to build capacities that long outlasted a crisis response. And so the way in which we did that was to make sure that we, just to maybe set the context a little bit, I think gender-based violence is something that is prevalent in any country, in every country. It's just a question of whether we monitor it, whether we have data for it. And Turkey does have data. We know that 1 in 3 married women have experienced sexual violence. That's a staggering statistic. And that was even before the earthquake. We also knew that the earthquake disrupted people's lives in ways that were unparalleled. It also disrupted services. So women's shelters, violence prevention centers, these were all things that were disrupted. So the response was, how do you, yes, get people to be able to access services, but also make sure that these services were not just static services, but also outreach to be able to go and reach families and girls in particular who maybe were at risk or unable to come to the services. So it was both a static approach but also a mobile outreach approach.
Your Excellency, Mr. Rodrigo Arcos, Ambassador of Chile to Turkey, Ms. Patsili Toledo, esteemed members of the Convention on the Elimination of All Discrimination Against Women Committee, Ms. Sureya Erkan, Director General of the Status of Women, Ministry of Family and Social Services, and lastly, Ms. Malti Genmi, Deputy UNICEF Representative in Turkey. Good morning, everyone. We are effectively living in a period marked by profound instability and overlapping crises. Wars, forced displacement, protracted conflicts, climate disasters, and pandemic converge to create a very complex global landscape. These crises are not only increasing in numbers, but also in severity, in longevity, and interconnectedness. The growing complexity of crises is reflected in the scale of humanitarian needs worldwide. By May 2025, nearly 300 million people require urgent humanitarian assistance and protection, while by mid-2024, 123 million people were forcibly displaced due to conflict and violence. The global food security crisis has escalated dramatically, with over 295 million people facing high acute food insecurity. Furthermore, some 50 million people are suffering devastating impacts of urban warfare worldwide. Such prolonged crises strain and even disrupt governance structures and essential services, destabilizing communities and increasing vulnerability.
Distinguished members of the panel, Ms. Goymont, Ms. Toledo, and Ms. Gandhi, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, and esteemed guests, it's a great privilege to address you today at the Embassy of Chile for this meaningful roundtable. I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to our hosts for bringing us together to discuss such a critical issue, protecting women and children in times of crisis. Please first allow me to convey the warm greetings of our Minister, Her Excellency Mahir Özdemir Göktaş, to all esteemed participants gathered here today. We have a very special relationship with Chile, which was the first nation in Latin America to recognize the Republic of Turkey just 3 years after its proclamation. As we approach the centenary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between our countries in 2026, I'm honored to be part of this important event. Everyone in this room, all of us, agree that in a world facing multiple crises, women and children continue to face disproportionate risks, and achieving equality between women and men is more vital than ever. Natural disasters, humanitarian crises, and armed conflicts not only endanger lives but also deepen existing inequalities. Families are forced to leave their homes, possessions, and loved ones behind to seek refuge, with women and girls composing around half of any displaced population. Forced displacement leads to a domino effect of negative consequences: increased exposure to violence, loss of education, and limited access to essential health services. Recent years show the devastating impact of these crises. In situations of armed conflict, women and children are often the first to lose access to education, health, and safety. In Gaza today, nearly 1 million women and girls have been displaced, and women and children constitute the majority of casualties. The humanitarian crisis continues to escalate in Gaza. Women and children face in the aftermath of such disasters. Our experiences show that crises do not affect everyone equally. While entire communities suffer, women and children are disproportionately impacted in terms of protection, access to basic services, and means long-term recovery. Following the February 6th earthquakes, which affected more than 40 million people, our ministry launched a wide range of initiatives to ensure the safety.
Yeah, Rodrigo, thank you for organizing this. I think this is so important theme every day, also in the future. And thank you for all the panelists. I think there were so many different points taken up. It's difficult, you know, to stick to one or two of them. But I think you all kind of touched upon the most important things. And when I'm talking about Finland, which, you know, we think that when it comes to gender equality that we are, you know, really there on the top. But when you look at the statistics, we are very on the top violence against women, for example. And there we share a lot with Turkey because we are facing the similar problems. And we try to solve that. And I think it was very well put here that we need men we need men to solve this. We can't solve that as women, that's for sure. And how to involve men, how to get men into this process, because when we talk about the violence, you know, it's usually men. I know there are in Finland also a small number of women who are very violent, but mainly men, and we need to tackle that first for sure. So that is something that I think I would like to hear from you. How can we involve more men into the question of rights of women and combating the violence against women? The other thing which was taken up is also very important, and now when I look at Syria, I'm kind of a little bit puzzled. In the peace processes, I don't see women there. And I mean, 50% of population is not really making those decisions which are touching upon them a lot. And I think somebody said that, you know, if there is a female leadership, the society is somehow more well-being than if it's led by men. I'm here kind of agreeing a lot with this, but it doesn't need to be so when we get the involvement of men. But peace processes, how can we get more women into peace processes and to the decision making in those processes? That is another very easy question. Thank you.